Hello, my lovely friends. Thank you for joining me again for another video. And you're tuning into this one because you've seen that this one is about writing software. And this is a question that we frequently hear. We've heard it in the group before. Some of you have tried some of these softwares and have had some good luck or want to know if there's something else you can try. New writers are always asking this, like, what should I be using to write my book? This is what I typically say. This is coming from someone who has kind of seen it all. So I want you to take that with a grain of salt, of course, but take it as my perspective, not necessarily my personal preferences. But before you jump into answering the question, what writing software should I be using? I want you to first analyze your tech skills, the level of skills you have with technology. What I don't want is for you to feel like you must find the writing software and you must just figure it out. There's no requirements here. I don't want you to feel frustrated. I want writing your book, the physical act of writing your book or typing it, to be like the easy part because everything else is going to be tricky. So analyze your tech skills, get real with yourself, okay? Get very real with yourself. Do I really want to be messing around with technology? I'll tell you how I analyze my personal tech skills. I'm pretty good with technology. I'm pretty good with, I can jump into software and just learn it. So that part doesn't bother me, but I know that I will mess with it. Like I will get in there and I will do all of the things and I will over-organize. And I will lose my focus and my connection to the actual purpose of being in that software. So I've done this all over the place. For example, Trello. I don't know if any of you have ever heard of Trello, but it's a really great site to help you organize to-do lists and manage projects. I love it, but I have a tendency to go overboard with design and with very small details. So I know myself. If I can't be in a piece of technology and stay focused on the main task, and in this case, it's writing your book, then it doesn't do me any good. So that being said, I want you to get real with yourself. What is your level of tech skills? Will you be frustrated with a piece of technology that is maybe a little over your level? Will it feel distracting or will it feel helpful? Do you feel like you're all over the place and you really need something to organize all your thoughts? Maybe you have journal entries over here and things written over here and stuff on your phone and stuff on your tablet or whatever, and you need some type of unifying, organizing system, and that's the purpose of using it. Great, but you just need to understand, where do you fall on this particular issue? Now let's move forward. If you are interested in going the distance and getting some writing software, here are a couple options that I know you'll probably hear about, but I want to bring up some pros and cons for you to determine. Now, I'm going to start with the obvious, Microsoft Word. I always suggest starting here if you are low tech skills, if you are not in the mood to mess around with technology, or if you will feel overwhelmed or frustrated with a more advanced system. There is nothing wrong with this. It has tons of capabilities. The only, one of the few downfalls is you may end up having to pay to download it if you don't already have it. There's really no organization features as far as clicking on different tabs or having different chapters over here. There's no features where you can share it with other people. Like, for example, a beta reader, you're just going to have to send them the file. Google Docs, on the other hand, has some more collaborative features. That is free, but it's, it is online. There's an offline mode, but it's typically, to be in there, you need internet connection. So Google Docs and Microsoft Word are fairly similar in their capabilities and their features and, how you can organize and all of that. One is free, one is probably not, unless you already have it, then you're good to go. It's just a great place to start. unless you really want to start with a notebook. But at some point, you're going to have to get get this baby on the actual computer so you can get it on the internet to sell to the world, right? This is a software video, so we're not talking about notebooks. Don't get me started on notebooks. We'll be here all day. So Microsoft Word, perfect place to start. There are other word processing software options that I would not recommend because their capabilities and their features and functionality I have not found to be as user-friendly or as intuitive. So I wouldn't necessarily consider anything for just basic word processing besides Google Docs or Microsoft Word, and I'm a Microsoft Word fan. I am getting more into Google Docs, but it's still not my favorite. The downfalls of the capabilities and having to be online and all of that do not, I don't prefer that. So now let's take it up a notch. There are a couple software systems I want to talk about in particular. One is Scrivener. You've probably heard of this one. This one's a straight word processing software, okay? It's great for a lot of reasons. It has some downfalls. There typically is a cost involved. So if you're looking for a free or cheap option, this probably isn't going to be your freest or cheapest. But you can organize things. It has this great binder view. You get to see your book structure kind of laid out. There's this corkboard view where it's almost like little post-it notes. So it can be really visual. For someone who likes a visual aspect of their work, this can be a really great way to do that. You can manage your productivity on there with deadlines and all of that. It's compatible with your iPad. So you could take this on the road if you wanted and didn't want to, bring your computer. The downfalls, and this is something I've seen my clients struggle with, my clients who have used Scrivener, the formatting can be really tricky. It's difficult to extract your data out of there, your work out of there in a way that feels like it's just a couple clicks of a button. Okay, so it can be kind of complicated. There, of course, is a learning curve to this system. It is a complex piece of software. This is not beginner level. And it's, I don't know if this is something that typically that matters a lot, but there is no Android app. So if you are an Android user like I am, I know, just you guys can shoot me evil little emoji faces in the comments, but I'm just not an I person. I don't have an iPhone or an iPad or an I anything. I am an Android girl. I don't like working on small devices though. So that one doesn't bother me. But if you are like, I want to take this on the road, I travel a lot, or when I go to a coffee shop or a bookshop, we'll pretend those are still open. I don't want to take my big giant computer. I want to take my iPad. So that could be something up for consideration that you want to look at. But Scrivener, hands down, is a top-notch piece of software for book writers. It's built for book writers. It really is built for the purpose of getting your book organized and written and all of that. It's just not a very simple, I shouldn't say it's not user-friendly, but it can be a bit complicated and complex in a way that it's going to take you some time to get used to. So if your tech level is at beginner, I would not start there. There's another writing aid, if you will, and this one's not necessarily for, does all of the word processing, but we're going to kind of shift into more of an editing space. Pro Writing Aid is something that does a lot of grammar and spell check. You can get it, your book copy edited. It gives you kind of suggestions for improvement. It's not as expensive as some other grammar checkers. I don't know the comparison between Pro Writing Aid and Grammarly. I personally have not used Pro Writing Aid, but I have used Grammarly. I did find some value in it. I didn't feel like it was worth the money for me. But it did give me some things to think about, which I appreciated. It will never, ever replace an actual editor. So this might be something you just sort of run your book through to try to improve and bring awareness to some things you're doing. But it can give just like Grammarly, it's going to give suggestions that are incorrect or out of context because it's not a human. It doesn't know how to read contextually like that. Pro Writing Aid, I've heard the interface is a little less intuitive. Grammarly is super easy. And both options have kind of a free and then maybe like a more premium option. I think Pro Writing Aid might be a little cheaper than Grammarly. So that's just another piece of software you can utilize. It's not going to be what you write your book in. One other piece of software that I would recommend that you check out to craft your book within is Readsy. I have used Readsy with a client. I didn't hate it. I didn't love it. But what I did like about Readsy is that, well, first of all, Readsy has an amazing website. They have tons of resources. They just keep impressing me with all of the things on their website. So if you have questions about books and writing, check out Readsy. I've been sending people there because they just have so much stuff. They put a lot of time into that, you can tell. So I appreciate that about them. Their book crafting interface, what I like about it is that it has some very intuitive formatting features where you can make your book look pretty within that writing space. You may not focus on that right away, but once you're done writing, you can kind of make it look Shazammy, okay? It's gonna look nice. There are some limitations though. I found that you can't customize a lot of the formatting. You can kind of do what they have available and that's it. Maybe they will continue to expand the capabilities on that end. But this is another place that you can write your book within the software. It won't have as many organizational or productivity-based features as Scrivener does. It's not gonna have the visual layout. Last time I was in it, at least, it doesn't have the visual layout, but more like sections listed. You can kind of see, you can move things around. So it can be a very helpful organizational tool. It's going to be more of a beginner level. And you can kind of do both word processing and some more simple formatting within that context as well. Now, moving on to more formatting first, and also word processing, Vellum. Vellum is a piece of software I have heard of and I have not used, but I have heard good things. It's easy and intuitive. It really, what sings out loud for Vellum is that you can format both your ebook and your print book quite easily. And it looks really, really nice. It looks professional. It doesn't have a ton of options, a ton of styling options, and it's quite expensive, but it may be less expensive than hiring a professional formatter. You may look at that and go, okay, what are my options for formatting? I'm pretty techie. I have a limited budget. Let me check out Vellum. For example, some numbers that I found are $199 for an ebook and $249 for a paperback. I wouldn't assume a professional formatter is going to be much more than that. So they may be 6 one way, half dozen the other. You're going to have to double check that. I don't know off the top of my head what you might be looking at for professional formatting, but it's not a huge job unless you're doing like heavy layout, heavy interior layout, with photos and all sorts of customizations. If you're doing something more simplistic, just making it look very professional and nice, it could be similar. So think about that. Keep that in mind. If you are looking, if you have a line item in your budget for book formatting, this could be a platform that could help you kind of do both. And it's pretty quick. It's done pretty quickly because they have kind of the style format or style templates built into the program. So those are some options for you to consider. I'm not going to tell you which one is right for you. There are, like I said, there's pros and cons to every piece of software, even Microsoft Word, my best friend, my best baby. It has its limitations. Every piece of software does. Maybe you start somewhere and you shift over somewhere else to do another phase of organization or a phase of, the formatting or whatever it is. So these are just something to consider. Again, we talked about Scrivener, Microsoft Word, Vellum, Readsy, pro writing aid. That is the tip of the iceberg, friends. There are many, many more out there. A quick Google search will confirm that I barely scraped the surface on this, but these are the more well-known pieces of software. Women in our group have used some of these and have great things to say. They've been extremely helpful for some people. I know that for absolute certain. Some of them have been really helpful and beneficial for me and some of my clients that have shared their experiences with them. So give them a shot, give them some experimentation if you are looking to elevate your software above the Microsoft Word level. And let me know what you think. Shout out in the group. Give us a little review. Let us know if you start using one of these pieces of software and if you found it helpful or difficult or complicated. I definitely want to hear about your experience so we can continue sharing and passing the wealth. All right, we'll see you in the next video.